At the T-minus 3-minute mark,
Yes.
tape recorders
Yes, sir.
on board
Sorry.
the spacecraft
Public
were
show.
turned on. These recorders record both voice and
Right.
data.
Okie dokie.
We have ignition sequence start. The engine's now building up to 7.7 million pounds of thrust. We have a launch commit and we have a liftoff. Moving back. The Saturn V lifting off at now.
And welcome back. This is The Rocket Shop. I'm your host, Tom Proctor, and with me now is Bishop LeVay.
How's it going? Thanks for having me back.
Thank you for coming back. Well, as I said, we always like kicking off with a song, so what have you got for us?
I've got, from my last album, it's the fan favorite or friend favorite. I don't think I have any fans. They're all friends. It's called The Man Afraid of Light.
All right, take it away.
Moving closer now, like a specter in the night. The story must be told about the man afraid of light. Come and gather round, we can sit upon the fire. Now that you're comfortable, we can gaze upon his life. Was a quiet man, never wandered far from home. He never spoke aloud, dreamed in silence all alone. Windows were nailed shut, the doors replaced by stone. Starving purposely, no longer flesh and bone. Heard the day he died, they intended for the urn. But when they set a light, said his body wouldn't burn. They poured on gasoline, still his body staying firm. Roaring back to life, screaming, will you people learn? Will you people learn? Will you people learn? Moving closer now, like a specter in the night. Story has been told about the man afraid of light.
All right, The Man Afraid of Light by Bishop LeVay there. Well, welcome back.
Oh, thank you.
And how was your winter, and what have you been doing musically in the intervening months?
Well, since you saw me last, I recorded and released an album called Light.
That's pretty impressive.
Yep. And it is a concept album about the apocalypse. And it got pretty well received by friends and critics. Oh, one critic. From County Tracks. He's a great guy.
Oh, fantastic.
He loved the album. And so, you know, I send him all my songs now. Like, hey, do you like this too? Hey, do you like this too?
So he's definitely in the fan category rather than the friend category then.
He's definitely in the critic category. And he's a critic who really likes my music.
Well, that's fantastic. So yeah, tell me about the recording process. I know we were talking in November. You had the plan to record in spring, so fantastic for you just sticking with that because I know how hard it is.
Yeah,
for musicians.
after I was here last, I called it a day on shows for the winter time and spent the whole winter recording that album, and then in February I released it, and it was awesome.
And how was that recording process? Were you doing it? Was it a home recording?
Yeah, it was
process?
in my home studio, and playing every instrument and then vocals and then mixing, mastering, and then releasing takes a lot longer when you do it by yourself.
It's a lot cheaper though.
Yeah,
And you learn a lot
Certainly
of skills
cheaper.
along the way.
Oh yeah, I got way better at keyboard.
So, how was, I mean, especially in the middle of winter Vermont, how was that kind of recording process in terms, because you got quite an emotional style to you. You put a lot into the songs that you sing and the lyrics that you write. So,
Yeah.
in terms of that, aesthetic that you were working within, how did that feel for you?
It went really well because I had most of the songs written already. One of them I had to write on the fly, which became the single for the album. And it's called Foes from Our Friends, because I had a beginning and an end of the album, but I didn't have a middle. And then since it was a story that I was telling, not having a middle part of your story it's not a complete story.
No, they don't say beginning, end. It's
Yeah.
beginning, middle, end.
Yeah, it's like not including the two towers in Lord of the Rings. You just
It's the
get
best
confused. Yeah.
And so the album's a concept album about the apocalypse. Would you like to tell us a little bit more? How did you come up with the concept, and what came first? The songs or the concept, and then you kind of wrote the songs around it.
I had a couple of songs. Man Afraid of Light was a song I wrote before I came up with the concept, and that's more of a personal song that I wrote when I was getting really down about winter, and winter hadn't even started yet. It was just the thought of winter. And that it was like about hiding, like just going into your house and locking the door, and then nobody ever sees you again because you're a hermit now. And then writing Foes from Our Friends was that I was like, all right, what happens in the middle? So you have the beginning, and then the end is obviously apocalypse. What happens in the middle? So I wrote a song about like World War III. So the battlefield that ends the world.
All right.
And that one was a lot of fun. I'm not going to play it tonight because it's really fast-paced, and I'm just going to blow out my voice if I try.
Have you had an opportunity to play the whole album all the way through?
Yeah, at the
It'll
release
Launch?
show, the
Yeah.
day of the release of the album, I had a release show at the Reservoir in Waterbury, and I played the album in its entirety along with other songs. So it took a while, and by the end of the show, my voice was completely blown out. Because on a lot of those songs, in the studio, you can scream into a microphone, go get some tea, take an hour, and then come back. And then when you're doing it live, it starts to hurt a little bit after a while.
Yeah.
But that's what they make Narragansett for. But then I released that album, but I wasn't really done writing. So I wrote more singles after that, just one after the next.
Yeah, so I noticed that you have a lot of singles out on your Bandcamp at the moment.
Yeah.
You had one come out in April. I think you had another one come out in May.
Yeah.
Did you have one come out in June as well?
No, actually, I'm doing that in the studio tomorrow.
Okay.
Doing the next single.
Preempting that one. So yeah, tell me about that. So was it a case of you just complete the album, but they still had a lot of thoughts left in your head?
It was sort of, I didn't want to get writer's block, and I knew if I took too long to write another song, then I would. And that's kind of where I'm at now. So I have one more song, so I'll have 3 singles in a row. But I think I'm probably going to take a break for a couple months and figure out what I'm going to do next, because it was really hard to follow up a concept album. Like, where do I go from here? What do I do? So I started writing songs about myths. And that's easy to do enough if you just, like, read a magazine about a myth or read a couple pages about a myth. You can just write it. Like, just pretend that you were that and just do that.
What kind of myths are you focusing on?
There's a song called The Myth Has Broken, which is about the world losing faith in, like, old world deities, like the Norse gods, Roman, Greek, Egyptian. and that everything kind of fell into Judeo-Christianity, and they looked at the people who believed in those myths as pagans.
You should. Have you ever read American Gods?
I haven't read it. So a lot of people have suggested that book to me.
Yeah, it's not too dissimilar to that kind of concept. Very good anyway. There's a TV show as well, but just plugging my own personal novel.
I definitely got to get
recommendations
around
here.
to it.
Yeah.
Right now I'm reading a book about Rasputin.
Oh, cool! I can very easily imagine that you can write a few songs about that. In fact, you could probably write an entire album about Rasputin.
That would be a great concept album.
Right.
I don't think it would be as well received as Light, though.
Oh no.
No, because he was a demented human being.
He was. A lot of stories can come from that, though.
Yeah.
Well, I'd love to hear another song.
All right, I'm gonna do the Myth Is Broken right now, and then we'll see where it goes from there. Do you wonder? Sometimes I wonder too. Are they still out there? Or have we been played for fools? The tales of conquest only came for the frightful few. Now what have we missed? No lightning hands of doom. What has happened? The lights have left the sky. The myth has broken. The pagan no longer flies. The pagans no longer fly. Do you believe? Do they believe in you? Are you watching? Because they're watching you. Don't forget them. Your memory's your only tool. But no one trusts you. Only you will know the truth. What has happened? The lights have left the sky. The myth has broken. The pagan no longer flies. The pagans no longer fly.
The Myth Is Broken there by Bishop LeVay. And, well, we were talking about it a bit earlier. You guys are all from the same Montpellier scene.
Oh, yeah.
You and Thomas Gunn and, I was saying Django Koenig as well, and the Estrogen. And so I was kind of curious about all the differences, the positives, the negatives of the Montpellier music scene versus the Burlington music scene, and then maybe any other music scenes in Vermont.
Okay,
that you know
well,
of.
the good thing about the Montpelier music scene is that I'm part of it. And that I'm not
Always a plus.
I play in Burlington, but I wouldn't say that I'm part of the scene. I know a lot of the bands up here, and they're all really good musicians and really good guys. But I don't do nearly as many shows up here as I do in Montpelier. And one of the other good things about the Montpelier music scene, which separates it, I think, from a lot of scenes, is that no two acts are the same, even kind of. So you have Thomas, who's an amazing piano player and vocalist, and then Yestrogen's your surf pop.
Yep.
I play doom folk.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. We'll get onto that one in a second.
And then there's an artist, Lilith, who has one of the most beautiful voices I've ever heard, and she's a singer-songwriter, and she definitely deserves a shout out, at least if you're talking about the Montpelier music scene.
Oh, we should get her in here. You should tell her to give us a.
If
give us
she's
an email.
listening, she'll reach out.
I'd definitely love to get her in so we can have a listen to her play. In fact, it's funny you should mention that how so diverse you are, because talking of Somewhere Out the festival, which I believe you're playing this year as well.
Yeah, I think I'm the opening act at 2 p.m.
Oh, fantastic. Well, we'll all be there.
Usually
I'm
not
sure.
not even awake at 2.
But one thing that really struck me about that festival last year, the concept was pretty cool of just one act playing, and there's two stages, and one act would play on one stage, and then once that ended, the next act would immediately start, and so on and so forth throughout the night. I thought that was a great idea, because it means people, for a festival that size, you kind of want everyone focused on the one band. But second of all, the acts were so incredibly different from start to finish, and all of them are cup of tea, but very much strikingly different. And I feel that maybe Somewhere Out There might be taking something from the Montpelier music scene here.
I think that's probably a good call. I mean, aren't the Tsunami Bots playing? I'm really excited about that too, because I love those guys.
Great name.
Yeah. But I think it stems from the Montpelier music scene. Definitely stems from Charlio's and Sweet Melissa's, because Charlio's used to be punk and rock, and Sweet Melissa's would accompany anything, and that led Charlio's to accompany anything. And so now you've got these two bars that host music nightly that have all sorts of acts, and that did a lot of good things for the Montpelier music scene in a way of bringing crowds to whoever.
And Thomas was saying before in the interview that you have some nights where you try stuff out and it doesn't quite work, and you have other nights where you try different. You've got that kind of trial and error kind of environment, which I'm sure helps immensely. But is it the people there that kind of make it?
Montpelier's a weird town. It's a weird town with a lot of weird people who are all different, but we're all friends, or at least know each other. It's a small big town. Like, everybody knows each other, but there's a lot of people,
Right.
and everyone's got their own thing going on, including art and music. Everyone's doing their own thing, and then you end up at a festival like Somewhere Out There, where everyone's doing their own thing, but they're doing it together.
Right. Let's move on to the genre that you picked yourself.
Yeah.
So I saw doom folk punk, folk.
So people have said either one. So doom folk, or it's. I think my first album was more punk, but I haven't done anything really punk rock since. I think people read folk punk and they just add, or they read folk or something before folk and they add punk to it, because I don't dress the part of someone who plays folk music, and I don't really play your stereotypical folk music. And it's Debbie, but it's not punk either.
But you are playing an acoustic guitar, and therefore you're stuck in the box of folk immediately.
I also write songs about the downtrodden, or themes of dark things.
I also saw that in the blurb that you provided, that you do kind of draw from that kind of folk background. Of talking about the downtrodden, but you kind of making that distinction of, like, 60s folk talking about, like, kind of labor
like
rights,
politics and labor rights and rights, where that's all well and good. I could play that song, but every other folk act plays that.
So what kind of what if it's not about labor rights? What kind of downtrodden people are you singing about? Who are you trying to champion in your songs?
I guess what I'm trying to do with the new singles, because everybody would be downtrodden during the apocalypse.
That's true.
And so in the new singles, I'm trying to dig into history about who. So I guess not terribly downtrodden would be fictional gods, but they were forgotten and left behind. And that fits the category of downtrodden.
I mean, from their perspective, very much downtrodden.
yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe not from ours. They're still deities.
But also the people who practiced pagans and different cultures were kind of shut down and assimilated into Judeo-Christianity. Mm-hmm. So all those cultures were lost.
Right. Yeah. Very very true. Last time we spoke, we were talking a little bit about collaborations and as we said, the Montpellier scene's got a lot of weird and wonderful people kicking around. Have you been working with anyone else on any of these tunes?
Not yet. I want to with the upcoming single. I definitely want to work with Thomas because I can't play keyboard to save my life. And his vocals are amazing, and I want those too. And I want to extend an arm to some other people in the scene to see if they would want to be on it as well. But I haven't made official like requests to people besides Thomas.
Okay.
Right now.
Right now. It's a big heavy world exclusive.
I haven't like extended an arm and been like, hey, you guys want to help me with this? Because I've done up to this point, I've done everything DIY.
Mm-hmm. And you say, you're playing every kind of instrument on when you're recording.
Yeah.
And it's going to be somewhat exhausting.
It is, but also, I start feeling like if I don't start working with other people, I'm just going to be a musical dictator. Where like if I start later working with other people, I'm going to be a jerk about it. So.
And if you become a musical dictator, then you'll be the one doing the downtrodden. So
yeah, full circle.
Yeah, you'll have to sing songs about the people that you're putting under your foot. So you'll play this somewhere at the festival. What other gigs you got coming up?
I'm actually playing out of state in July. I'm playing at a bar called Desperate Annie's in Saratoga Springs with I can't exactly remember the name of the promoter right now. And then I'm playing at Sweet Melissa's in July as well. I think Sweet Melissa's comes first, then New York, and then in August I play somewhere out there, and then I play down in Somerville, Mass.
Oh, so you're kind of kicking all around the Northeast.
Trying my best.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And if any kind of social media or anything you want to plug?
Yeah. I'm on Spotify, Apple Music, Bandcamp. All just search Bishop LeVay or bishoplevay.bandcamp.com. I'm also on Facebook, making daily updates, and I'm on Instagram.
I do see that you're incredibly regular on social media. You're an incredible promoter for yourself.
Try my best. Yeah.
That's almost a full-time job in itself.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
my boss at my real job doesn't get it.
Well, it's been wonderful having you on again. Thank you so much, and
thank you for having me on again.
Next album comes out, feel free to get in touch.
I think it's just going to be singles for the rest of the year, so it's just going to be single after single after single. Maybe I'll compile them at the end of the year and give you an album.
I'd love to get like a big Montpellier session coming in. Let's get a few bands from one area maybe to come in and do a big show or something. That would be pretty awesome. I love all you guys from Montpellier, so it's always a pleasure having you.
Well, we appreciate that.
Well, we got about time for one more song.
All
So
right.
what have you got for us?
I'm going to play my latest single. It's called Romulus, and it is about the fall of Rome.
All right.
Well, I was born up on the mountain, and they'll drown me in the lake. Well, I'm breathing Armageddon, and I'll die for my mistakes. If my body is a temple, well, then it's seen some better days. So you can throw me from this hilltop, I see no sacrifice in vain. Well, I am coming home. fulfill my destiny. Build my walls upon the ashes, the bodies of my enemies. With 1,000 years assembled, the largest army you'd ever see. And just as quick I lay asunder, all alone I bend my knee. Now I'm coming home. See, now I'm what's left of Rome.
All right, Romulus by Bishop LeVay. Thank you so much once again for coming in.
Thank you for having me on again.
Oh, anytime. Well, next week we are not going to be here because it is July 4th, 3rd, and we're not going to be here because it's July 3rd. We'll be doing fireworks on the lakeside. Happy America. But the week after we'll be having Jesse Taylor and dogs who know their dogs, who I'm very curious to talk about their names. They'll be on June 10th. So catch us then, July 10th. Thank you, Bob. I need to get my months right. This has been the Rocket Shop. Thank you very much for listening. I'm being your host, Tom Proctor. Good night.